Hello, my name is Bryan Gill, and this is my presentation over HighCharts.js using PHP and MySQL. HighCharts is an interactive JavaScript chart software. And I've used JavaScript libraries of jQuery and jQuery UI just to make things a little bit more fancy. The plugins I've used was the HighCharts.js, and there's also a couple other pieces in there, some themes and stuff like that. And all of this was built using, starting off using the HTML5 boilerplate version 4.3. And basically what HighCharts allows you to do is embed interactive charts, whether they are line charts, bar graphs, pie charts. They've got a lot of different kinds, and basically you can just specify which one you want in the code, and that's what you get. And here's the first screenshot, just a simple web page. Tried to keep it simple, didn't want it to be too distracting. But this is a little website that I built for keeping track of the saltwater aquarium water tests for my aquarium here at home. You see a little jQuery UI date picker. The rest of it, these are just the different tests for ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, phosphate, calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, salinity, and pH. And this is a full working website right here. So you can add stuff, say today's the 15th, and we're just going to put in some junk values here. And submit. And it just refreshes. I don't have it going to the redirect of, thank you for your submission or whatever. I just wanted to keep it nice and simple. What you'll see though on the charts side is a chart for each one, and you can see that I kind of messed it up by putting that one in there. It's out of date. I've actually preloaded the database with all of the different tables and different readings, so I kind of messed it up. But at least you can see that it's working. You can see my entry there. And it does have this weird thing where when you do get the dates out of order, it does mess it up. So we'll go in here and later when I actually demo the database, I'll go in, find that result, and we'll get that ripped out of there. Now for the code. You can see here I've used the stuff that came with the HTML5 boilerplate, so stuff like normalize and modernizer, added in the latest jQuery and jQuery UI. There's HighCharts. Also, for communicating with the database, it requires this exporting.js and data.js. Those are actually bundled in with the HighCharts that you can download. And I'll have a web address for where you can get that. Also, the jQuery UI theme structure, min CS, and then the main CSS that comes with the HTML5 boilerplate, and then the one that I like to create for my own stuff. Next we have the body of it, and this is just your standard couple unordered lists, actually just one unordered list here. This is what gives you the navigation up in the top right, and then just a form. I broke it out into a table to give it a little bit more structure and a little bit easier to manage, and really that's it. Again, these two right there come with a the HTML5 boilerplate. So I just went ahead and left those in there. And now we've got the JavaScript. This is actually a long bit of code, and this is for one chart only. So the JavaScript file does really get pretty lengthy if you have a number of different charts. So in this case, I've got 9 of them total. And so, as you can imagine, my my charts.js script file is fairly lengthy. I think there's probably close to maybe 75 to 100 lines in just this one markup or script file just for that one ammonia test results. So there's just going through it. You can see that it renders to container 1 in the HTML, and if we look back at that, actually it's on the charts page, so I don't have that right there. Anyway, on the charts page it's just a basic skeleton HTML, and then it's a separate div for each container, and they've got an ID of container 1 through container 9. So each chart will render to its own separate container in that div, and that's how you get the nice pretty break between them. And you can see that it's set for ammonia, and we'll go back here. That's where that matches up. And date, time, as you can see down here, it gives you the date and time. And there's another little interesting piece about these that I'll get into here in just a second. We'll go through the code first. Goes through and does all of your all of the functions, all of the setting of the axis labels, default values, colors, all of that wonderful stuff. And it gives you your series name for your ammonia level right there. And you can actually click on them. Like I said, these are interactive. You can click on them to disable, click on them again to re-enable. And that's it. Just a couple of different things in here to make sure that date comes out in a readable format instead of machine code format. And of course you go back here. This is just the value entry. So the piece that I was referring to, here's one of them, is that you can click on it and get rid of the lines. You can actually have multiple lines in here, but I wanted to compare test results from week to week, so that's why I've got them listed here for each one. Now looking at it, it looks like just a line with a quite sharp drop here. Well, you can actually click and drag and it zooms, which is wonderful. So you can actually continue to push all of this information, these test results, into the database and zoom in on different sections. And again, like I said, without that one result that I just added right here, these would actually, you could actually see by hovering over each point, it'll give you a tooltip pop-up. Reset the zoom. Here you can actually print the chart, download static images, and that's about it. Going into the PHP, this is where you actually make your connection to the database. I'm using MAMP here on my Windows box because it's got a much larger screen, but you provide your server name, user ID, password to be able to authenticate, and then you make your connection. If it doesn't connect, it'll log the SQL error or MySQL error. Here's where you actually tell it to connect to the database. Mine's the WIA, Web Interaction and Animation. And then we've got our select statement, and this is your select star from tests as your table. Star meaning all. Later on in our, if you already have the database class, maybe they've told you that select star from is bad because it selects every result and it can really wreak havoc on databases. But in this case, I actually want all of them, so it's just on my local machine, so I'm not really all that worried about it. And then your fetch array, where it actually pulls all of your information back in and gives it a date for your bottom, your x-axis, and your actual value here, in which case this is actually listed in parts per million or milligrams per liter for the ammonia levels. And then after that, you always want to close your connection when you're done accessing so it doesn't get hijacked. Going on, we have the information behind the form. As I showed before, you have the jQuery UI pop up for your date selection, but then if you notice, I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fields, but here I've actually got 11. That's because you need to give it that ID, and I've actually, in the code back here, or the HTML code, you can actually see that I've got a hidden input field for the ID. Without that, it will not post it to the database. It says that something's left out, and so you always need to have it whether it's hidden or not. It is set to auto increment in the database, so I've got it hidden so I don't forget, 3 years down the road and try and put a field in it and crash the whole thing. But you can see here the method is post, and we'll get the ID of HTML tag, ID of ID, date, ammonia, nitrite, all those. And then we actually have your insert statement, insert into table, tests, and at this point we've already made the connection to the database, which is actually up here, and I've left my password and user ID in there. Anyway, it's just on my local box. So anyway, so we make our connection up here to the database, and there's our database, and we come down here and we tell it insert into table tests these values and the values of these, and it'll grab all of those values, throw them into here, and then populate them in there, and then insert them into the table. And then after that, it will refresh to this page, and away it goes. If there's any problem at all, it will give you an insertion failed and a lovely white screen. So hopefully that doesn't happen too often. Which, as we've already seen, it didn't happen earlier. Just gave me a rogue date. CSS, I've kept this very lean. Like I said, there's I've got some background color black for the nav, background color silver, little hover effect. Really that's it. Just setting up the menu here, setting the values for the headings, and then a little bit of formatting on the table, and then that's the only formatting at all that I have on the actual charts right there. And that's something that I've got into the it's a black and white overlay for pictures, which there aren't any. So now we get into the database. So this is where we'll actually go into MAMP and go into the PHP myadmin here, find the WIA database, go into the tests table, and we should see a bunch of information here. This one, 1015, a little bit out of order, but the dates or the values I entered in previously, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. Yes. Okay. Now the chart should look a little bit better. Basically though, like I said, I preloaded the database with a bunch of information. These are not accurate, as you can tell, because it's nowhere near close to February 24th of 2015 yet. But I just started, I entered one, dropped it out to SQL or MySQL code, and then pulled that into Excel, generated a bunch more, and then went ahead and ran the insert right back here through the SQL section. And you just paste it all in there, highlight it all, and click go. And away it runs. So there's the database, there's the table, and we'll go ahead and get out of this and move along. Results, what we're left with here is just what you've seen so far. Different test result field for each of the test results. You put in the values, you got your date picker, choose your date, hit enter, and in this case let's go ahead and enter one. So it was February 24th. Let's go ahead and put one on the 25th, and we're going to set this one ammonia at 0, nitrate 0, nitrate 0, phosphate 0, calcium 450, alkalinity, let's say 9, 1350 for magnesium, salinity 1.24, and pH of 8. Go ahead and submit that. Again, it refreshes, comes back. Now we come back here and we should see February 25th, because it was on the 24th. 24th was the last one, now we're at the 25th. And we zoom in here, 25th. And away we go. Get a little bit more into these and you kind of really have a little bit harder time reading them. I actually zoom in on them and really spread them out, but you can actually see that it gives you all of the different points as far as when the entries were, and you got 3 of them here, so you can't zoom in too much and really make it not make much sense, because you can't really tell right there, but it gives you an idea of what it's capable of. And you zoom in there, you can see the different entry points, and you keep going. And so, high charts. Here is the link for high charts. It's where I got it from. They have their documentation isn't great. It really leaves a little bit to be desired, and with a little bit of work you can get it going. They don't have any good information as far as interfacing it with MySQL. They just tell you that you need to change some things, and that's after like a 2-minute walkthrough of all of the little demo that they have. HTML5 boilerplate, there's the link for that. jQuery, jQuery UI, and a couple logos. And a little bit about me. I actually chose the charts, high charts, because of the business intelligence that I went through. It deals with a lot of graphing and charts and stuff in SharePoint, which again uses full SQL Server. A little bit of security thrown in there for good measure, and as far as contact and additional information about me, those are my two websites. SharePoint Sheriff's my blog, and there's my personal portfolio page. And that's it. Thanks for watching.